You see, the problem with patience is we don't get instant gratification with patience. I'm sorry. But when we delay gratification, that pleasure, that enjoyment, it allows us to really take part in that victory. So some ways that you can, let's say, keep yourself patient is to focus on something else. Hi everyone, I'm John C. Morley, serial entrepreneur, and welcome to another Super Motivational Friday. I'm so happy you decided to join me again. Don't forget to check out all my wonderful content at believemeachieve.com. You know, I would also love it if you would share this out to your family, friends, and colleagues, but don't forget to subscribe, click on the subscribe button, and of course, smash that bell notification icon so other great people can partake in this wonderful content. I have a question for you. Have you ever become impatient? No, not me. I'm always patient. Okay, I'm sure you've been impatient at least once. Maybe you were in grammar school or high school and you had this anticipation to get your test back. Well, because your name is toward the end of the alphabet, you got your test back like 20 minutes after they started handing them out. You get my point. Or maybe you're boiling tea the old-fashioned way. I know nobody does that anymore. I'm waiting for water to boil. It takes a long time, which is why I use Insta-Hot, which constantly boils the water all the time. How about maybe a Windows 10 or Windows 11 update, and you see a screen like 89% or maybe 90-some%, and you know you shouldn't interrupt it because if you do, it's just gonna get 10 times worse, right? What are some other things we have to be patient about? There's lots of things. Sometimes it's relationships. You know, we want this today, but that's not what we're gonna get because we're trying to push the envelope too much and the relationship's not there. Maybe we're trying to rush our success. Can't do that either. We have to understand that divine time is important. So when we think about patience, how we become patient is very important. It's a skill we develop. It's not something we're born with. It didn't come in that manual that you guys never got because you were so anxious once you were born to go get lunch. Well, you get my point. But if you actually hung around, you actually would have got the manual. I think it's like a 10 million page document, but maybe you wouldn't have read it anyway. I think it's probably on microfiche, and I know it's definitely in a PDF format if you want to download it. But seriously, when we think about patience, we have to think about the end result. It could be success, could be the love of our life in a relationship. It could be the victory feeling that we know is going to happen, right? But sometimes we get so anxious that we want it to happen now that we, let's say, cut corners on things. It could be something like designing a brochure. Maybe we're in a rush to get it printed. You guys know I own a media and printing company. We can't rush to design something. We have to make sure it's fully branded correctly. And if it's fully branded correctly, it's going to look well. That is the most important thing. For example, like the one I'm looking at right here. One of my companies is Orbital Media, which I rarely mention them on but you can see how nicely it's branded. So this took a few revisions, and you have to have patience, and you have to sometimes put things away like we talked about in other videos. How else do you have patience? A real simple way to have patience is to focus on your breath. Now, this is not a meditation video, but focus on your breath. Okay? How do you do that? Just be still and quiet. You could put your hand on your heart and you could just pay attention to the beats. As you do that, you start to become more patient. You can close your eyes if you want. You can do full-blown meditation. You can take a walk. Patience is what I like to call the marker to achieving success. Now, when you think about eating, for example, you might decide that you want this huge cake, right? But if you have the patience, okay, to wait and maybe just eat something small, right? You're gonna delay the gratification. So patience allows us to delay the gratification. You see, the problem with patience is we don't get instant gratification with patience. I'm sorry. But when we delay gratification, that pleasure, that enjoyment, it allows us to really take part in that victory. So some ways that you can, let's say, keep yourself patient is to focus on something else. Maybe it's a relationship that you're wishing would be at another point. So what you could do, really simply, is you could go do something else. Maybe you could take up a hobby. Maybe you could go to a movie. You could take a walk. You get my point. So being patient is a choice. You also have patience, whether it's with kids, whether it's with adults, your parents, relatives. And maybe they are what we call, quote unquote, trying your patience. You have worked with them, you have answered their questions, but they keep asking you the same question. Now, I know as humans we get frustrated. Didn't I just answer that? Didn't you just ask me that question? And I know we get upset when people ask us questions multiple times because we think they're not listening. Especially when it's relatives or loved ones, we have to try to be kind and patient. Patient means that we are going to basically not be in a rush to move to another item. When you're a painter, you've got to be patient so that the colors don't run. When you're an engineer like myself, you have to be patient and not rush the code so you don't have a bunch of bugs like we had happen with CrowdStrike not too long ago. If their team would have been patient and did the quality assurance necessary, we wouldn't have had those disasters. But no pun intended, our companies don't use CrowdStrike, but that's a whole other story for another day. People are so into the end that they forget the process. They figure that if they cut the corners, like, maybe just throwing something on the page like a PowerPoint, they think that that's quality, and it's not. So I want to encourage you right now, friends, to start building a life of patience, and it will reward you many times in the future. Ladies and gentlemen, I am John C. Morley, serial entrepreneur. It's always such a privilege, pleasure, and honor to be with you every time I'm on video or live with you. Remember to click on the subscribe button, and please share this out with everyone you know. And if you feel obliged, click on the PayPal button. Buy my team maybe a soft cone, maybe a sandwich, perhaps a nice fruity drink. Either way, we're going to be so grateful. Those pennies and dollars that you give us, we'll put that into new hardware, new technology, new equipment, new software, even new facilities to give you the most jaw-dropping, motivational content to help you not only develop skills like patience, but other great attributes that will improve the quality of your life and thus impact those around you to improve the quality of theirs. I'll see you guys in another video real soon.